Welcome back. The Justice Service in the United States has been accused of secretly collecting phone records of reporters and editors at the Associated Press news agency. AP says 2 months of records were collected and could potentially reveal communications with confidential sources. As Brianna Keller reports, it is not the first scandal of its type to hit the Obama administration in recent days.
The series of controversies boiled over in Washington. President Obama left town.
Because I sure want to do some governing. I want to get some stuff done.
Headlining New York City fundraisers with Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel. Amid news, the Justice Department seized phone records of Associated Press reporters in an investigation of leaks. Accusations the administration downplayed terrorist involvement in September's deadly attack on the U.S. consulate in Libya, and claims the IRS targeted conservative groups looking for tax-exempt status.
I will not tolerate it.
Just hours before Obama addressed the IRS scandal.
If, in fact, IRS personnel engaged in the kind of practices that have been reported on and were intentionally targeting conservative groups, then that's outrageous, and there's no place for it.
The agency's watchdog is expected to release a report this week that will show the IRS targeted applicants who made statements that, quote, criticize how the country is run. This as emails became public, showing the administration changed CIA talking points on terrorist involvement in the Libya attack just before the presidential election.
The whole issue of this, of talking points, frankly, throughout this process has been a sideshow. Suddenly, 3 days ago, this gets spun up as if there's something new to the story. There's no there.
But Republicans see opportunity, and they're accusing the president of hiding the truth.
Where is the outrage all along as things like this keep happening? And the pattern's becoming one in which this administration is not transparent, and they don't seem to care if the right things are done.
Brianna Keeler, CNN, Washington.
Authorities in Mexico are sizing up a natural disaster. An active volcano located between 2 major Mexican cities is rumbling once more as authorities prepare for a possible eruption. Rafael Romo takes us to the foothills of the volcano.
In the fertile highlands of central Mexico, a menacing giant known as Popocatépetl has awakened once again. The volcano had a moderate explosion on Saturday and has been spewing ash and smoke for weeks. It was a loud boom, says this woman, but since it's always rumbling, we're kind of used to the explosions. Authorities are getting ready, if necessary, to evacuate as many as 12,000 people from 3 towns at the foothills of the volcano. The town of Santiago Salitzintla was put on alert last year after an eruption. But longtime residents say they're not going anywhere.
I'm not afraid, not at all. We've been here a long time, and nothing has happened to us. They've evacuated us once because it was spewing ash, but nothing happened.
The threat of an eruption literally looms over their heads. The volcano, also known as El Popo, rises more than 5,400 meters above sea level, or nearly 18,000 feet. It borders 3 Mexican states. The volcano is located near some of Mexico's most densely populated areas. It sits roughly halfway between Mexico City and Puebla, where some 25 million people live. Nefi de Aquino is in charge of public safety and has the unenviable responsibility of issuing the alert if the volcano erupts. For him, the volcano is like a moody god.
He inspires in me respect, right? Because you can't mess with this Lord. The explosions have the potential of finishing off the town in seconds.
De Aquino has been documenting eruptions of the volcano for 40 years, including this one in 1999 that formed a 7,000-meter cloud of ash. The ancient Aztecs worshipped the volcano, a tradition that continues in modified form to this day.
Our ancestors, the Aztecs, would sacrifice virgins to the volcano. More recently, our fathers would take them offerings of food, fruits, and legumes. Thanks to Lord Volcano, we have our vegetation.
Here, everybody talks about the big one, the massive eruption that may one day bury this town and others. De Aquino can only hope the volcano will give him enough time to save his people. Rafael Romo, CNN, Santiago, Salitzintla, Mexico.
Prosecutors in Italy are calling for a life ban on former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi from politics, and boats carrying Rohingya Muslims has capsized, killing a number of people. For more on this and other stories, we turn to this World News Roundup.
European finance ministers met in Brussels to find ways to curb tax evasion. The idea is to swap bank account details with Switzerland and 4 other countries, including Luxembourg, Austria and Liechtenstein, and to end the practice of bank secrecy. Austria has been the last EU holdout on bank secrecy after Luxembourg changed track last month. Automatic exchange of information allows tax authorities to more easily spot tax evasion and the illicit flow of money. Italian prosecutors are calling for former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi to be banned from politics forever and serve 6 years in prison for having sex with an underage prostitute and abusing his official powers. Prosecutor Ilda Boccassini said there was no doubt Berlusconi was guilty of the crimes he's accused of. In a statement, Berlusconi said the case was built on theories, conjectures and falsehoods. Berlusconi's legal woes are straining relations within Italy's newly formed Grand Coalition. Boats carrying scores of Rohingya Muslims have capsized off Burma's coast. The Rohingya were fleeing a cyclone that was heading dangerously near. Many of the passengers had been displaced by communal violence last year and were living in flimsy tents or makeshift housing across coastal areas. They were trying to reach another camp before the arrival of the cyclone. Ilich Ramirez Sanchez, better known as Carlos, was back in court in Paris to appeal his conviction for a series of deadly bombings in France during the 1980s. The 63-year-old Venezuelan has been imprisoned in France since his capture in Sudan in 1994. He's serving multiple life sentences for his role in various attacks that left 11 people dead and nearly 150 injured. The trial kicked off with Carlos appearing without his defense lawyers. He had asked them not to attend as a way of protesting the lack of support from the Venezuelan authorities.
We now turn our attention to the weather report.
Weather segment beginning with a summary of the weather during the day today, followed by a forecast. The Gambia this afternoon was mainly warm and sunny. For what next? Let's start with a look at the satellite image captured at 16:30 hours, indicating spots of medium-level clouds across the Gulf of Guinea states with a band of high clouds spread over the northwestern part of the continent. Elsewhere over Africa was generally dry and stable during the period. And for our forecast tonight, we're expecting conditions of the Gambia to be relatively cool but partly cloudy. Tomorrow will be relatively cool in the morning, partly cloudy and slightly hazy, becoming warm and sunny thereafter. Winds will continue to be southwestern orientation, but generally light to moderate in speed, and morning temperature values will be 20 degrees Celsius over Banjul, Yundum and Kerewan. We're expecting 21 degrees Celsius over Sibanol and Jinoy, also over Kaur, and the Sapa will record 22 degrees Celsius. We're expecting 23 degrees Celsius over Tenyambure and Basse. Fatoto will be 24 degrees Celsius warm tomorrow morning. Top temperatures will be 31 degrees Celsius over Banjul. We are expecting 33 degrees Celsius over Yundum. Kerewan, Sibanol, Jinoy will all record 38 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon rather, and we are expecting 40 degrees Celsius over Kaur and Sapo. Nyambure and Basse will record 41 degrees Celsius, with Fatoto recording the highest, reaching 42 degrees Celsius tomorrow afternoon. We are expecting low tides of 0.5 meters at 6:42 a.m. and 0.5 meters at 7:27 p.m. The only high tide we are expecting tomorrow will be of 1.4 meters, and this will occur at around 12:46 a.m. The sun will rise at 23 minutes to 7 o'clock in the morning and will set at 27 minutes past 900 hours. We thank you and do have a very pleasant evening. Good night.
From the weather report there by Yasin Khan, we take a quick look at our headlines before we end this edition of the news. The Minister of the Environment, Parks and Wildlife has called for support in tackling the effects of plastic-induced waste on the natural environment. Elected ward councillors from the Caniving Municipal Council